Hi, welcome all of you. And today I'm going to interact with Aditi. Aditi is electronic engineer, and she got I think 440 GATE score, 442 in electronics, and she's general category student. As you always ask, what category and all. So she got into very prestigious IITs and very prestigious courses. IIT Madras, DOMS, IIT Hyderabad PhD Electrical Engineering, IIT Jodhpur MTech PhD, IIT Gandhinagar Cognitive Sciences, and she decided to go for IIT Gandhinagar Cognitive Sciences. In the interaction, you will realize that those of you who think that your GATE score is less and you may not land up in IITs, listen to this interaction. Number two, those of you who fear exploring your interest, if you have interest in data science, if you have interest in cognitive science, but you fear you may not get jobs, so you land up in electrical engineering or DOMS or management, listen to this interaction. You should pursue your interest. You should always think positive. Whatever score you have, or even if you don't have score, you have the opportunities. Listen to this entire interaction, and I'm very sure it will motivate you. Okay, so Aditi, first of all, let me thank you for your time you gave me.
Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Okay, Aditi, and let me congratulate you for your multiple selections. On YourPedia, we we request such candidates to come and share their experience, whose journey become motivational for others. You know, if you have very good, very high GATE score, and if you get admission, that is natural. But if your GATE score is not that high, but still you manage to get multiple selections, so that strategy can be inspirational for many students who have GATE score, but who think that our GATE score may not be useful.
Yes,
and there is a reason I'm having you here, Aditi. I requested you to be here and share your entire journey. Let me tell all the viewers here that you are electronic engineer, electronics and communication. And since categories have its own role to play in admission, I also want to tell students all here that you are general category student with 8.13 CGPA. You got selected in very prestigious PhD courses in IIT Madras, IIT Madras DOMS, and IIT Hyderabad PhD in Electrical Engineering, and IIT Gandhinagar PhD in Cognitive and Brain Sciences. Other than that, you've got MTech admissions in IIT Jodhpur, and I think you said PhD also in IIT Jodhpur. Am I right? That okay, that's wonderful. And you know, even more interesting and exciting is I'm very happy to tell that to students that you have decided to go for IIT Gandhinagar Cognitive Sciences.
Yes.
I'm saying that because there's a mental set students have. DOMS is very, very prestigious Department of Management. Electrical engineering is very prestigious IIT Madras. Leaving IIT Madras, IIT Hyderabad, you are planning IIT Gandhinagar, that to cognitive sciences. This majority students may not understand, right? And there's a reason I have you here, Aditi, and your entire experience will be very, very useful. So after this brief things which I want to tell about you, I now come to you only. Aditi, you please tell us which part of India you're from. And my first question will be, why at the first place after BTech you are thinking of PhD, which normally students say बहुत लंबा course है, it will take so many years, और हमें पता नहीं होगा नहीं होगा. So your background, and then why you thought of PhD at the first place.
Sir, I am a native of Bihar. I have done most of my education from Patna. I've studied in Kendra Vidyalaya Patna, and I've been fortunate enough to be in touch with very good teachers from a very young age. So that was always an inspiration. And I also come from a family where research is considered very prestigious. Like, it is considered, in my particular family, it is considered more prestigious than a bureaucracy or a politician's job. And
wonderful.
But my starting point for PhD, I think, was when after my 12th standard, I started thinking of careers. Okay. What would I be happy doing for the rest of my life? And I was a public speaker. I was always into public speaking, debating. So the natural thought that came into my mind was I could be a very good teacher.
Okay.
And via grapevines, I just heard that, okay, to be a teacher, you need to have a PhD. So that was my initial setting stone into the thing. After that, I have a habit of Googling and researching everything to the T. So if I have a doubt, I'll just Google everything out of it. And so I think from my first year or second year, I started Googling about PhD and what are the options. And eventually I realized, okay, PhD is not just limited to academia or research. There are industry options in PhD. There are people who have built very successful startups after a PhD.
Yes, yes,
So
entrepreneurs.
exactly. And I was never a very brilliant student. I would never have very amazing marks, but I enjoyed the process of studying.
Okay.
So somehow I just felt like, okay, PhD is my place to be. It is my place where I can be happily studying, and I could also be not be worrying about every immediate examinations or an MTech placement or a BTech placement. I could just give my time to my research. I could just do what I like and move on. So that was my thought for a PhD. I never really considered which branch I should do my PhD in. It made sense that I was doing my graduation in electronics and telecommunication engineering. And I have a confession to make. I did not know a thing like direct PhD existed before I came in touch with YourPedia. I only knew that you do a master's and then you do a PhD. So that was my obvious timeline I was going after. And which is why I did not take up a placement after my BTech. I had placement offers, but I decided to prepare for GATE. And I had a very good preparation. My test series were going extremely good, but the 3-hour exam, that is where I faltered.
Yes.
And I had a rank of 3000, but because of the difficulty level this year, my score dropped down to 450. So after that, I started exploring options for, say, an MS in IIT or an MTech research in an IIT, and I was wondering if I could get those. Or I started exploring options in CCMT. But then I remember I had a conversation with Tyagi sir, and he said, "Ki, you can try in a direct PhD process. You will have to work hard for an interview." So then I started applying for direct PhDs exclusively. I applied for direct PhD almost everywhere I was eligible. I had a confidence that I'm very strong with my basics. I worked really hard on my subjects. I'll be able to clear the interview. I was confident there. But I was not confident that I'll get a call because I don't have a master's. Will I be considered for a PhD? And I think that is where YourPedia really helped me. I also had, I had a few internships around my BTech, so I made sure to draft really strong SOPs, research proposals wherever it was needed. And fortunately, I got calls from almost everywhere.
Okay.
IIT Gandhinagar was my first interview, and after that, I was slightly selective in appearing in interviews. So I think I've appeared in about 11 or 12 interviews, and I'm selected in about 7 or 8 of them.
Okay. So can you share with us your selections? I would like to hear from you.
Okay. So I'm selected. The first interview was IIT Gandhinagar, Cognitive and Brain Sciences.
That is PhD.
Yes, that was for PhD. Then I appeared in Then I appeared in IIT Kanpur's Cognitive Science PhD written test. Unfortunately, I could not attend the interview, but I cleared the written test. I attended IIT Jodhpur's MTech and PhD, both of the interviews, both of them which I cleared. I cleared the IIT Madras Dome's PhD interview. And then I went to Hyderabad for the PhD. I had from Hyderabad, I had calls in both microelectronics as well as signal processing. But my interest leans more towards signal processing. So I went for the signal processing interview. I cleared that. Apart from that, I gave an interview in IIT Patna for a JRF position. So I could not clear that particular project, but I have called for a JRF in a different project as well.
Okay.
And I'm awaiting a few more results.
Okay, great. So now, Aditi, so many opportunities already on the table. And I remember interacting with you past couple of days, and we had long discussions. In fact, a lot of discussion from your side, from my side, is going on. Because leaving DOMS, IIT Madras, and IIT Hyderabad, electrical your core branch, and choosing IIT Gandhinagar, cognitive science is a very bold decision. Though it is both of us are on the same, understanding that yes, this is a good decision. I want to know from you what actually is the reason you want cognitive sciences and brains in IIT Gandhinagar, which is supposed to be a new IIT and all.
Sir, actually, initially applying in cognitive sciences was never a plan. I was supposed to apply in electrical engineering. While going through the website of IIT Gandhinagar, I found the Center for Cognitive and Brain Sciences and its webpage, and I went through the research they've been doing. And it is only later that I came to know that IIT Gandhinagar was the IIT that introduced India to cognitive sciences. It was the first IIT to have cognitive and brain sciences. But at that time, I just found the research very interesting, and I saw the eligibility requirements, and I thought that, okay, maybe they're not going to consider me because usually the students who are doing a PhD here have an MSc in cognitive sciences, and I have no experience whatsoever. I had some minor research exposure during my college because I had read a couple of papers regarding autism and ADHD. So that was it. That was all the exposure I had regarding cognitive sciences. But because I felt so drawn towards this particular department, I applied anyways. And I also applied in the electrical department. To my surprise, I did not get a call from the electrical department, which, by the way, students, I think, with a score of 410 or 408 have got a call from. But I think they might have not liked my SOP or something, but I did not get a call from there. I got a call from the cognitive science department. And the interview, I think, for cognitive science, IIT Gandhinagar was one of the most casual interviews I've had. One of the most fun interviews I've had. I think casual won't be the right word. It was extremely fun. And after the interview, because they did not ask me any hardcore technical questions, I was not sure that I'm going to get selected. So I kept appearing for other interviews as well. And when I had all my offers ready, up until that time, I was not thinking, okay, where should I make the final decision? Where should I be going? After I gave all my interviews and after I was ready to make the decision, I first researched a little on how one should choose an institute for a PhD.
Okay.
And something I realized was that for a PhD, of course, the institute matters. The institute needs to have good financial backing so that it can support your PhD. But other than that, the research topic and the professor or the guide you're going to be working with, these are the two very important factors that one needs to consider. Because for a PhD, you're going to be working for 5 long years.
Yes.
It is not an MTech course where you have to just study for 3 semesters and you will get a placement because you have the tag of an older IIT. So then I started going through the research topics and everything. And even though DOMS IIT Madras was a very good option, I did not vibe with the research done in the field of management sciences. And so that was my first step that I said, okay, I will have to mail IIT Madras regarding this. The toughest choice was between IIT Hyderabad and IIT Gandhinagar because I had been to IIT Hyderabad. I had gone there for the interview. I'd seen the infrastructure. I'd seen I'd met the professors, and that sort of inclined me a lot. But somehow I just could not let go the thought of researching in a cognitive and brain sciences department. Also, the fact that I had gone through the research work of my guide, I had gone through the research work of the particular department, and I don't want to call it an impulsive decision, but I think the decision I came through was mostly because I will always have the guilt of not picking up something which I was so drawn towards, and I had such an eureka moment towards.
Yes.
And going to an institute which is and taking a path which is conventionally defined.
Yes.
So I just thought, I spoke to some people studying at IIT Gandhinagar via LinkedIn. I think YourPedia has had good interactions with people at IIT Gandhinagar. That helps. Yes. And ultimately, I think it mostly, one of the major reasons was my gut feeling and the research going on in that particular department.
Yes. So Aditi, let me tell you, we got the opportunity to penetrate IIT Gandhinagar, and Professor Jain, Director IIT Gandhinagar, was very generous enough to invite us, and we went to different departments. And I could meet Professor Jason also. He's I think he's heading this. He created this department, cognitive science, and I had long discussions with him, Professor Jason. I remember having coffee with him on the side of the river, and so that department is wonderful, I must tell you, and that there is a different kind of energy in IIT Gandhinagar. It's a great institute, I tell you honestly. And no wonder this decision which you have taken is going to be very, very good decision for you. Maybe many students are not aware, and that is my next question to you is that only. Many students are not aware about cognitive science, what cognitive science is all about. So if you can, in one sentence or two, tell students what actually is the cognitive science.
Cognitive and brain sciences, so technically defining, it is a study of the nature and the behavior of the brain and how it impacts different functions of our body. But the research in cognitive and brain sciences is almost interrelated with every single part of the human body. So they're researching on how music affects your brain, how noise signals what kind of effects noise signals have. So the research there is very interdisciplinary. The research there varies from linguistics and philosophy to neuroscience and artificial intelligence. They've almost covered every single genre of engineering or science, as we like to call it.
So it is decided, is it decided before you join that who your guide will be? Those things are decided beforehand, or it is still to be decided?
Sir, in some of the institutes, like for a direct PhD, actually, we have to, I think, accumulate about 22 credits of coursework in our first 1.5 years. So for some institutes, it is that you will be knowing your guide, or you will the guide will be mutually decided in the first 1 or 1.5 years of your tenure. But in some IITs, like IIT Gandhinagar, or I received a mail from IIT Jodhpur that you could decide your tentative guides right now. We have the name of our tentative guides. We can contact them beforehand.
Aditi, when when I interacted with Professor Jain, Director IIT Gandhinagar last year, October, November, I'm talking about. That time, I came to know that IIT Gandhinagar is very generous on spending money on students. And I was told, and I read that in their catalog also, that a PhD student goes out, out of India and stays in US kind of countries, and whatever labs you want to visit, and entire money is spent by IIT Gandhinagar to the scale of 9 lakh to 10 lakh rupees is spent, or even more is spent from IIT Gandhinagar side. So that is something which is very, very good. I mean, that those kind of opportunities are existing in IIT Gandhinagar for students, and I'm very sure this is a great opportunity and a great decision on your part. But Aditi, what after this? Students have one thing in mind. हम पढ़ाई करने के लिए नहीं करते. That is not an end in itself. End is we need to get a good career, good job, and all. So after spending 4-5 years in cognitive science, what kind of jobs can a student target? कैसी jobs लग सकती हैं उसको?
Cognitive science is obviously a newer department for the Indian market. So if you look at it from a perspective, like if you're ready to have a job abroad, you will be having jobs in Google, Facebook, Hindustan Unilever, and other organizations in the field of customer acquisition, in the field of customer interaction, computer management. These are the fields where there are existing jobs right now in the global market. The thing with the Indian market is that these jobs are being created right now. Like as we speak, I think 4 days prior to this, our Prime Minister has inaugurated the Department of Brain Sciences in IISc Bangalore.
Yes.
So this, the field of research is the field of research that we are talking about is actually being expanded very generously in these years. So obviously the academic opportunities are there because more and more colleges are starting the cognitive science department.
Sorry to cut you short, but these kind of things which you talk about, like artificial intelligence and all, I don't know, is it related to this cognitive science and all department?
Sir, artificial intelligence and machine learning are essentially tools which we use in the cognitive science department.
Okay.
So I'm not sure entirely about the cost structure there, but I know that there is a good amount of research being done using artificial intelligence and machine learning. That is what I was coming up to, that even after a PhD in cognitive sciences, we will have, from what I've understood is that we will have sufficient skill set to maybe get a job in the machine learning industry, or get a job in an organization which is working in the artificial intelligence. And also because more and more colleges like IIT Hyderabad has started with the cognitive science department. So now that more and more colleges are starting the cognitive science department, there will obviously be a requirement for professors, assistant professors.
Yes. Academic option तो है ही, उसमें कोई शक नहीं है. Academic option is one of the options, and because artificial intelligence, machine learning are the courses, so industry में भी मेरे को नहीं लगता कोई trouble आएगा. I think there is a lot of options.
It mostly depends on the direction you take in the cognitive science department, because there is also the direction of picking up psychology, linguistics, and all those portions. If you pick up that, you could actually be a professor in psychology, or you could do research related to that field. If you pick up fields like artificial intelligence, neuroscience, then you have better industry opportunities too.
So there is.
The research arena is actually very diverse. I think it depends on the thesis you prepare.
Now, this is a great decision, Aditi, you have taken, and I'm very sure it is going to pay dividend after a couple of years. 4-5 साल का तो आपको patience रखना पड़ता है, no doubt about that. But then, in job also you have to slog, in that also you have to put effort. Entrepreneurship में भी आप मेहनत करते हो. मेहनत को avoid तो नहीं कर सकते, effort को avoid नहीं कर सकते. A student who is aspiring for civil services, he will put 5-6 years in civil services. A student who wants to be entrepreneur, he's putting effort in that. Even jobs में you have to put effort. So why not in PhD and get a very good degree, the highest degree, and that is a mentality with which I think students should go. So Aditi, after this brief interaction with you, though we have got many things from your side, anything you want to tell students who are listening to you?
Sir, I think there are two different things I would like to say. The first one is for all the engineering students, because I'm guessing most of the students will be engineering.
Yeah, their engineering background. Yeah.
I will just add one thing, that explore all the areas of engineering extremely well. Like I know my friends who have say zero interest in microelectronics or zero interest in VLSI, but they are choosing
Still they do.
microelectronics and VLSI because they know that okay, at the end of the day I'll get a good job. All I wish to say is there are hundreds of areas of research, of even of hundreds of areas for masters itself. Research all the different areas, pick what you really like, and especially if you're willing to do a research based course or a PhD, then research very, very, very well. Ultimately, what matters is the work you are going to be doing in those 4 or 5 years. Don't take a decision based on what will happen after those 4 years. Instead, take a decision on what you will enjoy during those 4 years. And so for the GATE aspirants, I think because my personal journey has been full of ups and downs, we've been speaking about that. So I think obviously, while we are all preparing for the GATE examination, we all have a fear that, okay, what if something goes wrong? What if I don't have a good GATE score? And I think even with a slightly low GATE score, you can convert opportunities. The only thing is that there is a big if in this particular statement. If you have good command on your basics, if you have good command on your subject. So while if you're preparing for GATE examination or any competitive examination for that matter, all I'll suggest is prepare your basics really, really well.
Yes.
Because even if you have a GATE score of 650, 700, and you're going for a PhD or an MS interview, the interviewers there are going to grill your basics. They're going to ask you on every single aspect of the or every single aspect you can imagine, every single aspect of the research area you wish to enter.
Yes.
So try and be extremely strong on your basics. Stick to textbooks instead of going through shortcuts, and have a good understanding of whatever career you're willing to pursue.
Yeah, that's wonderfully said, Aditi. इसी में मैं एक ऐड करूंगा that students have nothing to lose hurt about, अगर उनका गेट स्कोर कम भी है तो समर्स के बजाय विंटर में भी ऑप्शंस आता है. You can approach professors also. There are so many options. I mean, nothing to get disheartened about. But
this year onwards, almost every single IIT has stopped. I mean, not stopped, but almost every single IIT is focusing more on interview-based admissions instead of direct admissions.
Yes.
And I was reading a post by an IISc professor, and he had mentioned very aptly that even students with 700 or 800 GATE score lack extreme basics. So right now our focus is that we want students who have a good conceptual clarity. The rest we can build upon. I remember having an interaction with a professor at IIT Gandhinagar. This is what he was saying, that if you are going for a PhD, you have to unlearn a lot of things. So what ultimately matters is how conceptually clear you are in the course you have done.
That's true. And Aditi, I tell you one thing honestly, when GATE score comes and all, we tell students कि आप ना इंटरव्यू का तैयारी करो. आप अपना PPTs बना सकते हो इंटरव्यू के लिए, आप अपना रिसर्च एरिया आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं. So keep pushing ahead with the hope that you will get it. And if professors, I interacted with many professors in IIT Gandhinagar and I asked them very simple question that what do you see in your prospective students? They said we see the passion and interest for the research. So वो चीज अगर है तो उनको मिल जाएगा, कुछ ना कुछ मिलता है. And with that hope, I think they should proceed forward.
The admission in research-based courses are very dynamic. They are not dependent on any one particular factor. So I remember having a conversation with Tyagi sir, and we were discussing that whether or not you will get a call for a research-based course definitely cannot be predicted. It cannot be predicted based on your CGPA, based on your GATE score. You don't know what they will see in you and on what basis will they call you. I know courses where students with a lower GATE score, lower GPA than me have got a call. I know courses in which I have got a call and my friends who have a GATE score of over 550 have not got a call. So the research-based courses, I think the way of selection of students in all these research-based courses is very, very interactive.
That's
very different.
चलो Aditi, it was wonderful talking to you and
the pleasure.
जैसे लोगों से बात करके अच्छा लगता है, मोटिवेशन मिलती है और स्टूडेंट्स को भी अच्छा लगेगा जो थोड़ा अलग सोचते हैं, हटके सोचते हैं और पॉजिटिविटी आती है उनसे. See, we should have that personality. पॉजिटिविटी वाली पर्सनैलिटी होनी चाहिए, होपफुल होना चाहिए, नेगेटिविटी के ऊपर बेस्ड नहीं होना चाहिए कि सर मेरे को तो लोग बोल रहे हैं कॉग्निटिव में जॉब नहीं लगा तो क्या होगा, इसलिए मैं इलेक्ट्रिकल पकड़ लेता हूँ. सो नेगेटिविटी के बेस पे लाइफ नहीं चलता, पॉजिटिविटी के बेस पे चलता है. If you give your best, you get the best in life, and you should pursue your interest. After all, this is the life you are to lead, and you can be very successful in your career अगर आप वो कर रहे हैं जिसमें आपको इंटरेस्ट है. This is something which is very, very important. You're a typical example of that, Aditi. We wish you all the very best in your career ahead, and God bless you in your career forward. Thank you, Aditi.
Thank you, sir. It was great talking to you.